If you ask a foreigner why they became interested in Korea, chances are it's because of the big two, K-pop and K-dramas. In recent years, people are starting to get to know South Korea more, and it's not just because North Korea lobs missiles every so often. A lot of pop culture has been coming out of South Korea these days, and the world is starting to take notice. K-pop's been trending around the world with the likes of BTS, EXO, and TWICE, while millions of people watch K-dramas every day. The Korean government knows that the more known its pop culture is, the stronger its soft power is. But what is soft power? Let's take a look at the idea of soft power, as well as the 6 pop culture factors that make Korea a soft power juggernaut today. For much of history, countries have been measured in terms of its armed forces. When we think about a country's power, we tend to think about its military might. You know, things such as soldiers, tanks, missiles, airplanes. This is called hard power. But with an emphasis on world peace and pop culture taking more of an important role in the world today, hard power has taken a backseat. These days, countries rely on soft power. This includes any form of pop culture entertainment, such as movies, music, TV shows, video games, animation, fashion, makeup, and more. Or in other words, things that people enjoy and do for fun. Whereas before, countries with a larger military and greater resources would influence the world. But these days, smaller countries can also put their mark on the world using pop culture. And Korea is definitely using its soft power to its advantage. After all, Korea knows that the greater soft power it has, the more respect and prestige around the world it receives. Today, Korea is known as the trendy country in East Asia, the country where cool is personified and a lot of cool pop culture comes from. But it wasn't always this way. Only about 15 years ago, that distinction belonged to Korea's neighbor, Japan. But with the explosion of the Hallyu Wave in the mid to late 2000s, Korea has now joined Japan as the 2 it countries of pop culture in East Asia. I feel these days that there are 6 soft power traits that personify Korea, that fueled the Korean pop culture behemoth. And believe it or not, it's not just because of K-pop or K-dramas. So just a side note, we'll only be talking about pop culture entertainment. So we won't be talking about consumer products such as TVs or smartphones or cars from Hyundai or LG or Kia. Just strictly pop culture. With that being said, let's talk about the 6 pop culture factors that made Korea a soft power juggernaut today. The first one is K-pop, and this really comes as no surprise. For nearly all foreigners, K-pop will either be the number 1 or 2 choice why they first got interested into Korea. While the most non-K-pop fans, their first exposure to K-pop was the 2012 hit Gangnam Style by Psy. But I feel K-pop is experiencing this mini renaissance in 2016 and now in 2017. With mega groups BTS, EXO, and TWICE having huge mega fan groups around the world, their reach stretches far and wide. Big Bang, one of the most popular groups in the last at least 10 years in K-pop, who are currently on hiatus because of military service, still has a very strong following as well. For the people that's been following K-pop for a while, you guys know that 2017 marked a big year in K-pop. BTS actually broke into the American mainstream and exploded since. They've been on shows such as the Billboard Music Awards, the American Music Awards, or AMAs, the Ellen Show, the Jimmy Kimmel Show. They met Ryan Seacrest. They did a collaboration with the Chainsmokers, as well as a collaboration with Steve Aoki. But even before BTS's massive breakthrough into the American market in 2017, there were a few Western celebrities that were still K-pop obsessed. Enter actress Emma Stone, who admitted on the Conan O'Brien show that she really loves K-pop. I believe she was listening to a lot of 21.
What is your latest obsession? What's the thing you're obsessed with these days?
K-pop.
K-pop?
It's also addictive.
Yeah.
Very addictive.
Do you have a current favorite?
Well, when we did the Spider-Man premiere in Seoul, Korea, we were on stage with a band called 2NE1. And do you see?
Wow.
I know that Lady Gaga, as well as Lorde, also like K-pop as well. K-pop is known as the new in music in East Asia. It's a blend of both Korean and American pop, mixed in with some slick choreography, and handsome and beautiful idols. With die-hard and hardcore K-pop fandoms, sometimes they can be a little bit too obsessive, if not crazy, but at the same time, fandoms have a huge part in fueling K-pop. Reaction videos also play a big part in fueling the K-pop wave outside of Korea, as a lot of big YouTubers watch a music video and film their reactions, shock, surprises, and laughter. Then fans tune into these YouTube reactors and see if their favorite YouTube reactors reacted the same way when they saw their favorite bias music videos. If K-pop can find a way to keep the burnout rate low, keep its fandoms happy and become more profitable, K-pop will not be going anywhere anytime soon. K-dramas is the other big factor of fueling the Hallyu Wave. And with the exception of a few K-pop groups such as BTS and Big Bang, nearly all K-pop caters to the teeny boppers and the early 20-somethings. Yet with K-dramas, they appeal to a wide range of demographics. There are a lot of 30, 40, 50, and I'm sure 60 plus people that love their K-dramas. In fact, I would say K-dramas have this timeless aspect to them, because after all, great stories never go old. K-dramas have also influenced a lot of neighboring Asian countries, such as the 2014 hit, My Love from Another Star. This drama popularized chimek, or chicken and beer. And I know when I went to Hong Kong in 2014, that same year, for vacation, I saw a lot of Kim Soo-hyun and Jun Ji-hyun posters around Hong Kong. Going to another drama, the 2016 hit Goblin was a huge sensation in both Korea and overseas. In fact, there was a lot of tourists that same year that came to Korea just to visit the sets where Goblin was filmed at. The Korean government, of course, took note of that and said, wow, Korean tourism has risen huge that year in 2016. Drama OSTs, or original soundtracks, also get charted in a lot of Korean music charts. They get frequent play in cafe and restaurants, and as people get older, like late 20s, 30s, 40s, people recognize drama OSTs more than K-pop as a whole. Korean dramas have also replaced some other Asian countries' native dramas. For example, you'll see countries like the Philippines, Taiwan, Thailand, and even China have a lot of Korean dramas on major television networks. And at times, it feels like they're shown more than the actual country's own dramas. And lastly, Korean dramas are starting to be remade in the US. One of them being Good Doctors. The next one is Korean makeup. And let me just be upfront, I really don't know anything about Korean makeup. I just know it's huge. For the Korean YouTubers I talk to, a lot of them are into Korean makeup. And some of the biggest Korean YouTubers are, yes, Korean makeup channels. K-pop and K-dramas, the first two soft power traits we talked about earlier, also influences Korean makeup's demand. Why? Because a lot of people want to look like their favorite stars and celebrities. Thus, many YouTubers do tutorials on how to look like your favorite stars or your favorite idols and how to do makeup to look like them. One big product I've seen in Korea all the time is BB cream. And BB cream today is being exported around the world. And according to a 2014 BBC report, it has made around, $164 million that year. It's a lot of money. And one last thing, when I went to KCON 2017 this year, I noticed that the exhibition hall, around 40% of the stalls was makeup or beauty related. So in the end, looking good and young will never go out of style. And that's why Korean makeup will be around for a while. Moving on to the fourth Korean trait is Korean movies. I feel that Korean movies will be creeping into the West very soon. And the reason I say that is there's companies like the WB or Warner Brothers that are financing Korean movies now. For instance, the 2016 movie Age of Shadows was financed by Warner Brothers Korea. And actually, it's a good movie. You should check it out if you haven't seen it. What was once a country that produced movies such as thriller movies, rom-coms, romantic movies, and horror movies now produces, well, still thriller movies, political drama movies, historical drama movies, and war movies. For instance, the Korean zombie thriller Train to Busan was both a big hit in Korea and had a sizable number of fans overseas as well. In fact, it's on Netflix, and if you haven't seen the movie, you should check it out. It's pretty good. It will remind you of World War Z. Another movie is the 2014 hit Miss Granny, which follows a 70-year-old grandmother who transforms suddenly into her 20-year-old self, but still has the mindset of a grandmother. And this movie's simple but relatable concept spread like wildfire throughout Asia. In fact, there are currently remakes in the movie in China, Vietnam, Japan, Thailand, and Indonesia, with future remakes in the Philippines, Spain, and wait for it, yep, the US. And I really hope the US doesn't screw this up. Oh God, I can see it now. Moving on, a lot of K-pop stars, as well as K-drama stars, also try to get into movies, because movies are seen by an older, more mature audience. One of the latest stars trying to make this transition from K-pop star to movies is Tiffany from Girls' Generation. As stated earlier, an actor's audience widens a lot just because a lot of older people see movies, as well as getting paid a lot more than the average K-pop star. In fact, outside of Hollywood, K-pop stars are paid among the highest in the world. The payoff, if a K-pop idol can act pretty well, is immense. Now, does the name Faker ring a bell to you? If so, you're pretty much nodding your head and saying, oh yeah, this guy's a huge deal. But if not, no worries, I got your back. This guy is one of the biggest esports players in the world, and he plays a game called League of Legends, LOL, or LOL for short. And he makes a great living doing this. His latest contract to play LOL is known to be around 2.5 million USD. He's called by many the Lionel Messi of LOL. And Dustin Beck, who's the vice president of Riot Games, takes it a step further and says he's like the Michael Jordan of LOL. You know, when you're being compared to Lionel Messi and Michael Jordan in your respective field, you must be good. And to put this in even more perspective, he's as big as some of the bigger K-pop acts and K-drama stars out there. He also has fans from the celebrity world as well. Jin from BTS, for instance, loves Overwatch and loves Faker.
Oh, League of Legends.
Yeah, I play my same name, Jin. You know Jin?
Yes. Yeah. Same.
It's SKT T1.
SKT T1.
You know?
Yes. We're Koreans.
Yeah.
The mid-season invitational to lock it down as the best team.
Faker! Yeah.
Go Faker.
Faker moving is crazy.
So you can be assured that many of your favorite bias probably play games such as EXO and BTS. Esports players also have their own fangirls. Whenever you go to an esports stadium and watch these players play a game of League of Legends or another esports game, you'll see a lot of fan sharing. And in some cases, it feels like you're in a K-pop concert. Even furthering this K-pop to esports connection, there was a showcase fun match between Gugunan and SKT Telecom T1, which is the team that Faker is on. And yeah, the match wasn't really taken seriously, but it just shows how much esports has on the fabric of Korea and its soft culture. And going on to another example, this is a StarCraft 2 map called Blackpink LE. Now, you don't have to be a StarCraft player to know that, Blackpink. And I'm assuming the map creator is probably a fan of the K-pop group Blackpink. Esports to Korea is really the symbol of pride, as they pretty much dominate in nearly every esport. From LoL to Overwatch to StarCraft, Korea's esports teams are pretty much the equivalent of the USA Olympic basketball team, where they pretty much mop the floor of their competition. And lastly, if I haven't hammered home the point just how important esports is to Korea's pop culture industry, Seoul is known as the esports capital of the world, and that's because esports was born in the city, and the country was the first place where you can actually make a legitimate living being an esports player and being on a team. And now the sixth and final soft power trait on this list, and a very underrated one at that, is Webtoons. And Webtoons may be Korea's answer to Japanese manga and anime. I'm not saying it's at that level now because, oh my god, Japanese anime is huge, but I'm saying that Korean Webtoons are a pretty big deal, and they do represent a decent chunk of Korea's exports to the world. So starting in 2004, Line Webtoons created this online comic where you can scroll with your mouse and read it. During certain points when you scroll, there's like certain music or sound effects that happened. And this simple concept of an online comic or webtoon became the basis of online Korean comics that became huge in the country. Part of the reason founder Kim Jun-koo actually created webtoons was to get teens to read more. Because, you know, when you're a kid or a teenager, you don't really like reading too much. Especially in this day and age when you have Instagram and Facebook and everything's on pictures and video, why read? But Kim Jun-koo and the various webtoon artists and creators actually made reading a trend again in Korea. Like, a lot of young people read in Korea again, and the good reasons because of webtoons. It's entertaining, it's fun, while teaching about a particular subject. Webtoons also have the golden ratio of roughly 50% male and 50% female, or pretty much split in half. Webtoons also have this good foundation, as new artists can actually get exposure and get paid and actually own their content 100%. And there are some popular webtoon artists in Korea that do this for a living. Today, webtoons have a lot of momentum and show no signs of slowing down. So guys, those are the 6 pop culture factors that made Korea a soft power juggernaut today. So what do you guys think about this video? I'd love to know your comments in the comments below. And if you guys want my free ebook on what it was like working as a K-pop journalist in Korea, please sign up for my free email list and grab that free ebook below. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy, guys.